Hey Ash, so you saw a movie. You
I
went to the
did. I
movies.
did. I just ran to the movies. Well, it was a long time actually. I was, the usual length of a movie. What do you think the usual length of a movie is, CGB?
In 2024,
In
the
2024.
length of a cinematic masterpiece experience. I see it's probably like 2 hours now. I think the Avengers films like conditioned us that 2 hours is the minimum or something.
Yeah. So yeah, the movie that I went to was about 3 hours long. It was a new Wicked movie, and I wanted my mom to see it. So
It's 3 hours long.
yeah, but
Hold on.
the catch is listen, the catch is this is a 3 hour long movie, and it's part one. So like at the at the end of the movie, they say to be continued, and then part two, you have to be seated for that as well. So I was blown away
Oh
that
my God.
Wicked could not finish the movie in like 3 hours or whatever the show is.
The Broadway show is like that amount of time when you take out the intermission. Like I saw Wicked on Broadway. Fun fact, in New York with my wife on our honeymoon. This was a long time ago, of course now, but like, yeah, like the whole thing. We saw 2 Broadway shows that day. It was the second show we saw. We saw the whole thing. So the movie is like 3 hours and there's a part 2. We'll get to Pioneer Masters for you impatient. You can put it down below in the comments. They start talking about magic at this number. It's fine. Timestamp it. But
It always goes.
I haven't seen Wicked. Tell me how is it?
So I have never consumed any Wizard of Oz content. It's usually like very far off the type of like movies that I enjoy. I'm very much a horror like movie enjoyer. I knew Libby had gone to like my partner had gone to Wicked on Broadway about like 10 times. So it's like this should be fun. It was cool. I mean, I think everything about the movie just screamed money. Like the budget was unreal.
Screaming
Just money. It just screamed money. Like if you get it, you get it. Just money. And then the great actors, like great actresses' performance of Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, they were fire. And I was like, wow, this story is very like metaphorical. I was thinking it would be a little bit heavier. Personally, like I had never consumed anything, but it was a good time. It was the 3 hours did fly by for what it was worth. And then all of a sudden I was like, okay, it's going to get started now. And then it was like, it cut off there. So I think for the people that have seen Wicked, basically where the theater show gets to like the intermission, that's where the movie cuts off. So then part 2 is apparently where things get serious. I've been told. I don't know. I don't know anything, but it was fun with my mom.
So we'll see, because I've from the show, what I remember is the intermission is like it ends on a big note, like a big high.
Right, it sure did. It sure did. Yeah.
And you're like I'm looking at my wife at like the intermission. I'm like, this might be the best like musical I've ever seen. And this was seeing the play, and then the second act I felt like was incomplete compared to that. So maybe
really?
yeah. I really felt like the second act, like they got somewhere epic and didn't know what to do. But maybe the movie, maybe with the technology and the scale of the movie, because like it's hard to show a battle, on a Broadway stage, right? So maybe it goes there. That's kind of exciting. That's exciting.
Cool. Now I'm actually excited. I'll be tuning back in for a part 2 in a year from now or something, I believe. I'll be seated. Yeah.
You love movies. That's something I've learned about you. You are a a big time cinematic movie enjoyer for sure.
Absolutely. We got Letterboxd downloaded. Every movie gets a star and a review. Like I always have my watch list. Too many movies on that. Too many movies to watch, too little time. That really is the way my life goes. A lot of time for magic. That gets consumed. A lot of time for magic. I wish more time for movies too.
Yeah, you put in more stream hours on magic than like anybody I know, I think. And I know a lot of streamers now. Like that's become a thing.
It's true. We go kind of hard for sure.
And okay, I brought you on because it occurred to me, I wanted to talk to somebody about Pioneer Masters because this set is coming out. It occurred to me that somebody could watch my content forever and have no idea what Pioneer is. I've never played. I never play it, never talk about it. Do you want to give a quick rundown? What is Pioneer? Why does this exist?
So from what perspective do we start? Like the arena, like Zoomer perspective, I guess? which is kind of rare
Yeah.
Faulkner. Like, there's people here that, you watch CovertGoBlue, you're like, oh, standard is awesome. And then there's this little format called Explorer. And you're like, okay, I'm not sure what that is. A lot of people in my like chat and stuff, I was like, what even is Explorer? So Explorer is an uncompleted Pioneer. And Pioneer is just like an eternal format, just like Modern or whatever, that starts in with a specific set and then goes all the way to the where we're at now with the sets. So I'm pretty sure Pioneer starts with Return to Ravnica, and it goes all the way now. I'm pretty sure it's Return to Ravnica. Yeah,
Okay.
it goes back quite a while.
Wow.
I think a great way to describe Pioneer is where cool standard decks like go to retire. That's how I describe it. Like, you have really cool decks going on right now there. Like, is that Phoenix? It was like a classic in Standard 2 and is now really good in Pio. I think there's actually a Reckless Demon deck going on right now in Pioneer.
Really?
Yeah, Reckless Sacrifice, my beloved, with the Catalvins is pretty big.
They still have that.
Control, your favorite, with 5 Fairy and stuff in there. So that is kind of what's going on there. Like, really cool and strong standard synergies are kind of just thriving in Pioneer. How I would, yeah.
So Pioneer starts at like Return to Ravnica, and right now Arena goes back to, what was the last thing they did? Was it like one of the Innistrads? Like
I think
Shadows
it was one of the
over
Innistrad. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah,
so.
The original plan to get Pioneer on Arena was like to remaster all these sets. Like so many sets. And they got to like Shadows over Innistrad, which is, I still think, like 5 or 6 years short. Something like that worth of sets. And they were like, nah, can't do it. They called the jam. And this year, instead of remastering whatever the next set was in that cycle, they are giving us Pioneer Masters, which, if I'm looking at Moxfield, I haven't looked at the cards in the set at all.
I haven't looked either, to be fair. I gotta be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping it completes like or gives at least like all the important missing cards.
Yeah,
that's what I'm hoping for.
We know the mission statement. The mission statement is Pioneer on Arena, no more Explorer. They're going to replace the Pioneer at home of Explorer with actual Pioneer. And this has 398 cards, according to this.
Wow.
Yeah, and it looks like it's built to be draftable, because I see reprints at like uncommon. So there's no way that that's not there for the drafting, because why would you put reprints in something that's already on Arena in a set that's supposed to finish Arena for Pioneer?
Yeah,
this makes sense.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, it must be draftable. But yeah, this apparently is going to make Explorer into Pioneer. So, like, does that matter? Do you think that matters to people right now? Like, what couldn't they do before?
I think that's my greatest complaint with this whole thing, is that, like, this is awesome. Please, I wish you did it about like a year and a half ago. Because not too long ago, a lot of the reasons why people or even why people in the first place cared about Pioneer, Pioneer's got a long history of like broken combos. At first, it was a beloved format. Then it just kind of like fell off because people felt they were forced to play Pioneer for competitive events. At least that's how my circles feel. I'm sure there's other people that think otherwise. But yeah, that forced feeling of having to play Pioneer, and then like discussions on how it very much felt like a coin flip format, etc., etc. But yeah, so now what's going on with Pioneer is that my God, I'm losing track here. I'm like looking at the cards.
Yeah, right. I'm looking for it. Like, I almost want to like just grab cards and be like, is this actually in a Pioneer deck?
Yeah, because that's what I'm looking at as well. Like, the thing is, like, Pioneer needed to be completed. And with Explorer being an uncompleted Pioneer, people that wanted to play Pioneer would just do this on MTGO, right? Like, there was a lot of competitive testing that was needed because, like I said, Pioneer was forced on people for competitive like tournaments. You want to play an RTQ, a Pro Tour, you needed to like know Pioneer. So people, obviously you don't want to play in an incompleted format. Like, there were actually like top tier decks that were missing very important cards. So now that is fixed. However, it was just announced that was it announced like a couple months ago or something, that the current competitive season will not be including Pioneer, and it's just going to be Modern and Standard.
What?
So now we're getting a completed format now, but it's too late.
I didn't know this.
It's true. Like the entirety of the competitive season is Standard and Modern. So Pioneer has been kicked, but now we have it on Arena. So like, dude, you're kind of too late.
Oh my God. I mean, so I have here like this Arena formats like listing thing. They put this in like state of Arena. You saw this?
Yeah, those are bad numbers.
Yeah. So we got Standard cooking, you know, our beloved Standard. Historic. People accidentally queue into that sometimes.
Sure.
Brawl, we pretend it's Commander and we do our best. Alchemy also accidentally queued into sometimes. Have you ever like looked up the Alchemy decks that like succeed in the like on untapped.gg? Sometimes it's just a Standard deck and you can tell they're playing in the Alchemy queue to get softer matchups.
Oh man, that's kind of like how Arena works often, right? Because like everything about MTG Arena, if you haven't noticed this before, you'll notice it now that I mention it. Everything about Arena forces Alchemy on you. The second you go into the deck builder, you're building an Alchemy deck, I believe. The second you go and queue up, you're in the Alchemy queues. That's kind of how they want people to play Alchemy, even though like if you know nothing about Magic the Gathering, this is your first experience, you download MTG Arena, all of a sudden you're playing Alchemy and you don't even really realize it. That's kind of why.
That's how they get that play rate up. Look at it, thriving at that 10%. And so then like the Explorer/Pioneer gamers are so happy because this year they finally found a format they could beat. Timeless. They're playing slightly more of that than Timeless. Do you think it matters that it's Explorer, which is Pioneer at home, and not Pioneer? Do you think the changeover to Pioneer is going to increase the play rate on Arena? Do you think it'll get like people from MTGO to play Arena?
I've honestly like asked myself this question a couple of times already. I think it's super hard to call. I feel like a lot of people, and like I said, this is probably my circles, but a lot of people that played Pioneer did it for competitive reasons. Because maybe it's just like people that a lot of my friends are Modern players and they were forced to abandon Modern for Pioneer and it feels bad. But people generally, I don't think, aren't too stoked on Pioneer. So I don't know if anybody that's like new or like is a Standard player or a historic player and now all of a sudden they get access to playing Pioneer, or somebody from MTGO, like you're saying, can all of a sudden swap to this. I don't think I see it happen. I think there will be people that are curious to check it out or whatever, but I don't know if it goes further than that. What do you think?
I'm at a loss. Because like MTGO players, I would have thought, like, for me, the experience of playing on Arena is great, and the experience of playing on MTGO is so bad that I can't do it. So it doesn't matter what format Arena is. I played Duels of the Planeswalkers instead of MTGO for years. Like that's how important the not MTGO is to me. So I have a feeling that the people over there playing Pioneer will not go buy the cards again on Arena.
No, absolutely not.
It's just not going to happen.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think they would ever be able to get the MTGO people to MTG Arena exclusively for Pioneer. Like that seems crazy to me. Also based on like the economy on MTGO, right? Like the whole rental subscription thing that's going on over there, and like different MTG Arena, we don't have that technology. You have to get every single card either through like buying wild cards or buying packs and crafting them. So that would be a lot of money to just play your, it has to be your favorite format on Arena. I don't think that's happening, especially not with, you know, even if you're like a competitive grinder, right, and you can't stand MTGO, then, you know, maybe you're like, okay, well, I can try out Pioneer on MTG Arena. Well, that's too late. That's not really a competitive reason to grind Pioneer anymore. So yeah, no, I don't think that's going to happen. I think there'll be people that are curious, that already have extensive like Arena accounts, are like, okay, let's see what this is about. But I don't think that's, I don't know. It's hard. Maybe I'm just biased. I feel like I used to love Pioneer. Pioneer was my favorite format basically up until I would say Ixalan got introduced. So that was the latest like Ixalan set. It was my favorite. Like I could play Catelyn there. You know how much
yeah, in your heart. Yeah.
Any format I can play Mayhem Devil and Cauldron Familiar, I'm set. Initially, I can always remember this very well. When Pioneer just came out as a format, like was just introduced, and I have always liked hardened skills decks as well. Like give me some 1/1 counters and I'm thriving. And that was actually a competitive deck over there, hardened skills.
Huh.
So I downloaded MTGO, got my rental subscription, and like I think it was around Throne of Eldraine era? I don't know when a Pioneer was introduced. But anyways, I was playing hardened skills, got my first 5-0 in a league, and I was grinding the MTGO leagues back in the day for Pioneer.
Wow. So you put in your time. You paid
I put in my time.
So I believe Pioneer came out. It was like right before, because the first big Pioneer tournament was like an RCQ or something, and then 2020 COVID shut it down. Like
that makes sense.
So
yeah.
that's like the time period. Like start of 2020, Pioneer was getting its big like launching pad, and then it didn't happen. Yeah, that makes sense, because I also recall one of the better decks at that time being like, you've had really cool decks like a mono black that went crazy there. There was like a back in the day an Ortsaw Vampires. But before Vein Ripper kind of, ran with that format, it was the best thing that you could do was like the Saurian Planeswalker into, what is it, like the 5/5, the champion of something that draws you cards? The champion of dusk? Yeah.
Is that what it is?
I think
the
it's
one
like
that draws you cards based on vampires you have.
Yeah, it's like a 4/4 for 5, enters, lose life, and draw a card for each vampire. That was
the crazy shit you could do back there, and that's that format.
Oh, yeah, you had to curve out 1-drop vampire, 2-drop vampire, 3-drop Sorin, draw 3. And now it's just Splinter Twin.
Perfect. Yeah, and now it was just now for the longest time it was Sorin into Vein Ripper, and then I got rid of what did I get rid of Sorin, right? I believe recently.
Did they get rid of Sorin recently? Did they? Yeah, I think they banned it. Yeah, they banned it.
I think so. Yeah, I think they banned Sorin and Pio. I'm just double checking that.
I should have the Pioneer ban list open for this.
Yeah, in August 26th, they banned Amalia and they banned Sorin. Which brings me to like one of the more problematic things about Pio is that it's basically for the longest time now, it's been just dominated by combo decks, which has been very frustrating. I mean, the Amalia was basically the reason that I stopped playing back then. I kind of suffered my way through mono green Nykthos with like Karn. I hated that deck, hated Karn, but it was decent. I think back in the good old days, I also remember like Inverter combo doing good things and people loving that. And then they got rid of it.
Inverter of Truth. Yeah, I remember this. That
was a pretty strong combo deck, and everybody actually loved playing that. Like people, if you talk to somebody that has had a past with Pioneer, they probably loved Inverter, and they just got rid of it. So Pioneer is just a constant thing where there's combos, and you need to find a way to get rid of them. It's truly the definition of a format, I feel, where people are never satisfied. I think the current problematic card in Pioneer is Treasure Cruise, and people are like baffled. Why is this card still legal?
I mean, that card is in the Pioneer Masters.
Great.
I don't know. Yeah, so I guess they're not going to ban it anytime soon. It's in their little draftable format.
Yeah, I was also told another nightmare. I love fair Magic. If you're not really familiar with my stuff, I love playing a fair game of Magic. The true definition of unfair Magic to me is the Lotus Field combo, which now is also going to be legal on Arena. So one of the greatest things for me about Explorer was that I didn't have to face Lotus combo, but CGB, we got it now. So
what was missing? What was missing from, because the Lotus Field is on Arena, right?
I think it was hold on, I'm trying to get like the most recent Lotus stuff. If at some point they added Thespian Stage, but I felt what was missing?
Thespian Stage was there. I think it's like some untappies.
Was it not Hidden Strings?
Is it Hidden Strings? It probably is.
I almost want to say it was Hidden Strings, honestly.
Alrighty.
Is it in the Masters? Let me see.
That's funny. Hidden Strings is here. We'll have it put on screen here.
Yeah, Hidden Strings is in Pioneer Masters. So
That's what it is. They just needed something to they needed an untapper for the Lotus Field, and then they can generate too much mana.
I think so. I think that was, oh man, I wish I could fact check this a little bit more. I could technically open up Arena and see if Hidden Strings is on there.
I don't think it is. I think this is correct.
I don't think it is.
This was the missing thing. So this is from Dragon's Maze, and this is a common. Why did it take them so long to put a common that's a key part of an important archetype on Arena if they wanted to get Pioneer on Arena? What do you think?
You tell me. There were literally, what did they do? Those what was it like? What were those little bundles that they would release on Arena for historic cards and explorer cards?
I believe they called them anthologies.
Yeah, the anthologies. I remember getting the outrage on social media when we got in one of those anthologies, a 1 mana 0/3 or 0 mana 0/3 artifact that nobody played. Where this was a thing. I have to look it up now. One of the anthologies had a really shitty artifact that was a something shield. And people were pissed off because why would we want this thing? Just give us Chain to the Rocks. Just give us the cards that we need to play the format we want to play. And instead they just wasted slots on cards that nobody wants. It was wild.
It was more like Wizards Employee of the Week anthologies, because I don't know, they picked their everybody made their own secret layer and put it on Arena. I guess I don't know where these things came from either. It was pretty bizarre.
It made no sense. It's still baffling to me why they just couldn't shove some key cards on Arena at the time that Pioneer was getting competitive attention and actually people showing interest in wanting to have Explorer be Pioneer ASAP. And now it's kind of too late, you know?
Okay, I've invented a new game for you. Is this in a deck right now in Pioneer? I'm just gonna grab some rares and mythics from this set. Is this currently getting Pioneered play? How about this one? Pelucranos, World Eater? Is green play? Does green play this?
No, absolutely not. No, I don't think so.
This is such a good card in Mono Green Devotion back in the day, in when it was a standard deck. Okay,
standard. Okay,
yeah,
sure.
Yeah, when Mono Green Devotion, Theros was in standard. This was the payoff, dude. You can monstrous this sucker. You put counters on it. You wipe the opponent's board and make a big threat, all at sorcery speed if you have a bajillion mana for some reason. This was fair magic in its day right here.
That's the fair magic that I would tune in for. What the Mono Green deck in Pioneer tried to do was combo off with the Chain Veil, because Karn fetches everything. It was a nightmare. I would be down with Mono Green getting this guy, but I don't think that's what they're doing there anymore. I don't think Mono Green is thriving anymore anyway. But
so no Pelucranos. No. All right, let's try this one. Is this card? Do you know of any deck that runs this card? Open the Armory. The search is for an aura or an equipment card. It's a tutor. I
want to say no.
No,
I mean, no, I don't think so. I'm almost thinking you could cook something up with this, but I don't think any.
No equipment decks.
No, I don't think there's I know there were hammer equivalents in Pioneer for a while. I don't even know if they would want to play that in this, or Buggles wouldn't want to do this either. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no.
Oh, I got one here. Obviously, this has got to be a staple.
The Great. Oh yeah, I think that gets played in literally every deck. CGB.
The Great Aurora.
I think every deck splashes green for the Great Aurora. This must be it.
I cast this once in a Commander game and thought I was really cool, and they just looked at me like I was a fucking idiot.
Man,
some of these cards I haven't seen. Some of these are just Commander cards. Does anybody play Notion Thief? Have you seen this in Commander? This is a mean Commander card.
In Commander?
Yeah, you flash it in. They can't do nothing. They can't draw cards. There's no way this is played in Pioneer, right?
Definitely not played in Pioneer. If somebody would play that against me in Commander, I'd be pretty upset, though. It's just trying to be a hater. No, but no, I don't think that gets played. 4 mana card 3/1 with flash. No, I don't believe so.
Dude, I don't even know. I'm looking down this list of cards, and there's a lot of cool cards that I built in Commander decks, but okay, they had this opportunity, right, to print all these cards in for Pioneer, and they give us Garrick. Apex Predator.
Wow.
7 mana Planeswalker.
That's pretty cool.
Look at all those abilities. Like, it's a bunch of Timmy cards, dude.
That's actually shocking to me.
I just keep going down the list, and it's all these expensive cards. Did you ever play with this card? This is a fun card from back in the day.
Domri. What set was this one from? I feel like this was from...
I should know this.
I don't want to say War of the Spark, but...
No, it's not. It's much earlier.
No.
I think it's one of the Ravnica sets. One of the first Ravnica sets.
Because I have played with this.
Or like one of the Return to Ravnica, like that era kind of set. Yeah.
Is it actually?
Yeah. It's like that era.
Oh, it reminds me of a recent Domri that also had like similar abilities.
Well, the recent Domri like pluses for mana and then makes your creatures uncounterable. This one pluses, look at your top card. If it's a creature, put it in your hand. So it was like,
I see.
Like hitting card advantage if your deck was almost all creatures. Like I'm pretty sure like Kivler played this at a pro tour. It's a
cool card. Yeah. Honestly, that's cool. I like this.
Yeah, it was a good card.
But yeah, I don't know if it's currently played in Pio, but that looks like a banger card. I'd love to see it in Standard, honestly.
Bring that one back to Standard. You might recommend.
That'd be cool.
You might recognize a little templating. This is a very old like Ravnica-ish card that was legal in Standard when Blasphemous Act also is legal in Standard. So you'd like try to kill it, Dome Boros Reckoner for 13 and just hit him in the face.
Yeah, that reminds me a lot of a certain like $60 mythic card in Standard.
Wait, what?
Screaming Nemesis. Yeah, Nemesis is like $60 or something.
No way.
I might be overreacting. Hold on.
I might be rich. I have some of those lying around.
They're like really expensive right now.
Holy cow. Yeah, I'm down for this. I'm
looking it up for you. Let me have a look on my the little like websites that I check to see the pricing. Hold on. Screaming Nemesis, because it's all popping off right now in the Standard and stuff too.
Nice.
Okay, no, it's still on here for like 30.
30?
I think it might be heavier in America though because of the RCQ season.
I see.
Standard right now.
Okay, you mentioned this card, Chained to the Rocks.
Yes.
Yeah, 1 white or a rare enchants a mountain. So a white card that enchants a mountain you control, and when it enters exile target thing, it's removal. Until this leaves the battlefield. Is this played in Pioneer? Like, do we see it? Yeah. What plays this?
I'm pretty sure 5-color Niv plays it.
5-color Niv.
Also, like the enigmatic incarnation decks, I believe, played it for. Or am I crazy? There was one of those like versions of the deck that played Chained to the Rocks. Or am I? Was it a different one?
I believe you. You can make things up. It's okay. We believe you right now.
No, I wanted to have it right. Let's see. Chained to the Rocks.
It's pretty here where it's... like I picture like the energy deck for Historic. I know it got nerfed a bit, but it's probably happy to see this. And Timeless, the energy deck is happy to see this.
Yeah, definitely. Chained to the Rocks. I swear it got played in. It must have been like an enigmatic incarnation deck.
Probably. Yeah. So that's like a tutor deck, right? I remember Enigmatic Incarnation is from Theros Beyond Death. So it's been on Arena the whole time. But I don't think it's been played in Explorer very much. It seems like a nerfed version's in Explorer. So
yeah,
I guess we complete that.
It's in a lot of
deck.
enigmatic decks. Yeah, it's in a lot of enigmatic stuff, is it? Where it's thriving. But yeah, that's a card people have been asking for a while. Definitely.
Well, I mean, at least there's some things. It's just really weird. There's a ton of new cards. I recognize so many of these. Kiora, the Crashing Wave, Crush of Tentacles. Like a lot of these were standard cards that are really hyped, but there's no way they get played in Pioneer. Chandra, Flamecaller. Like there's a bunch of these classic Planeswalkers that were good in their day. Painful Truths is a card I love. Enter the Infinite. Have you seen Enter the Infinite? Do you know this card?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Pure Commander stuff. Let's go.
Oh, God. What is that? What does that cost? That is crazy.
That is 12 mana, 4 of which is blue. A bargain at any price to draw your entire deck.
Wow.
Just the whole thing. On the spot.
All right.
Done. It's over. How do you lose?
Yeah, no, that I mean, hey, perfect card to me. Also, just to like go back to the fact checking, Screaming Nemesis is getting sold for at a lowest price of $47.50 right now.
Jesus.
So a lot of listings for like making it around like there's some around 50, some around 60. The card is like super popular right now, so you might be rich.
Dude,
Congratulations.
I wouldn't sell it to anyone. I can't put that power in the hands of red players out there
Also
to
true.
farm blue players in real life. It's disgusting,
True.
and I hate it. I hate it.
You're like that meme of that dude on Reddit that bought like every single version of a card only to like destroy them.
Do you have any idea how many fervent champions I'm the owner of?
Oh, like for real?
No, this is
how many?
So this is a true story. A fan in Germany acquired in paper 1,000 fervent champions. Sorry, Javier, and sent them to me. Shipped them to me to do whatever I wanted to them. So there was a period of time on my streams where every day a lucky fan would get to choose whether or not I lit a fervent champion on fire on stream.
Oh my god!
And I
was fervent champion like that like played in red?
Yeah, it was played in the mono red deck, but it's like a 3-cent card. The Screaming Nemesis.
Like Ember Cleaves? Yeah.
Nemesis is a commitment, dude.
That's crazy. I mean, you can make it your lifelong mission and buy every like Screaming Nemesis and burn them.
No, that's probably a bad idea. I hear I take damage when I do burn damage to Screaming Nemesis.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Financial damage, we'll call it. They are dropping the Chain Veil. Do you think Green still wants to do this, or has Green moved on? Has the world moved on from Green?
Karn has been banned. So Karn is banned out of the format. That's how they handled that one, I believe.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah, they gave it a hammer for sure.
Yeah, so Chain Veil probably doesn't mean anything.
No longer. No.
Do you know if there's a deck that runs Jace Vryn's Prodigy? This was like this card was like $100 when it was in standard.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know this one?
I am familiar. I've never played with it, but I'm familiar.
I love that the Flip Walkers are here because the Flip Walkers are sweet. But this one in particular, Jace Vryn's Prodigy, gosh, nobody thought it was good. It's one of the most underrated cards historically in Magic. Everybody said it was like the worst Jace they'd ever made. And then it came out and was in every deck and worth $100 in standard, which, you know, that's crazy. Them Sheldred numbers, them's high. So.
Yeah, that is for sure. Wow.
Well, we have an event. We have a streamer event for Pioneer Masters. You going to play the event?
Yeah, it's literally like tomorrow for as of the time we're recording this. Yeah, I'll be playing. I'll be checking it out. Always happy to play with new stuff.
I will probably drop in, you know, and play I'll play a few rounds. The Timeless event was the first one where I was just like, I don't know what's happening, and I don't know what's happening to me, and I just make it stop was kind of how I felt at the end of the Timeless event.
Do not bring up the past trauma of the Timeless event. Oh my god. Who thought it was a good idea to force people to play Timeless best of one? What a nightmare. You just get comboed off every single game and there was nothing you could do about it. I was miserable during that. Sorry to say it.
Oh, it was a tough time. And I'm glad they have these events because, you know, for all of this, even when it's not my jam, we know there's an audience. I hope they have fun. Yeah. I'm a Brawl and Standard guy and Commander, you know, these other long, older formats just don't have that appeal to me because they don't feel like they change too much. What would you say I should play in Pioneer?
In Pioneer, okay. Well, you should definitely check out Blue-White Control. You can play with your bestie Teferi again. The deck's also pretty well positioned, so Blue-Eye Control is definitely a good one to go with. You know, if you want to make me happy, you play Reckless Sacrifice. It's actually really cool. It's like the Igra combo. It's actually where that big evil elemental cat from Bloomburrow gets to survive and actually have the combo going on.
Wait,
it's an
what?
infinite combo with two. It's an infinite combo with 2 Cauldron Familiars.
Oh.
So Igra makes everything food, and then if the Cauldron Familiars can basically sacrifice to themselves and create a loop. which is really cool. Like you could sacrifice a Cauldron Familiar, and then you can sacrifice a Cauldron Familiar to bring the one out of the graveyard back to the battlefield, and that like keeps going.
So you don't
That's
need
kind of competitive.
you don't need an oven for that, right? You just need two cats.
You just need to find a way. Yeah, you just need one cat in the graveyard and one on the battlefield, and then you can like keep it going, I believe.
Great. Cats eating themselves to drain people out.
I believe
that's kind
so,
of exciting. That's kind of exciting. Not really my style.
No,
Too many
not really
clicks.
your jam.
It's a lot of clicking. I'm looking for just. I want my opponent to click concede. I don't want to click all the steps in between unless they're drawing cards to do it. I'm trying to think of like what I could put. What could I put in like the blue-white deck?
Niv to Light is also cool, by the way.
Niv
play.
to Light.
It plays your homie Yorion. That's a Yorion deck.
Oh, ooh. Tell me more.
Yeah, it is. I'm not too familiar. I'm not really a Bring the Light player myself. But yeah, it's all about like that. Where is it? Where is the card? What's Bring the Light on Arena?
Is Bring to Light on Arena? I'm not sure. Let's see. I know the card though. I have one in paper. It is. Yeah, that would be.
I think it was one of the most common complaints about it.
Let's see. Yeah, maybe this is one of the missing ones. It is legal in Pioneer, and it is a bit of an older card from Battle for Zendikar, which was also a really fun standard. And I don't see it in the Pioneer list. That there is no way they just wouldn't put the. If it's Pioneer Masters, they have to put this in, right? If it's played in a deck in Pioneer.
It's not in there?
Well, I don't see it yet. That doesn't mean it's not. This list is infinite. I keep on getting distracted by random planeswalkers that I haven't seen in 10 years. Okay,
it's valid. It's valid. Great waves of nostalgia.
Oh no, that's Urban Evolution. Looks sussly like Bring to Light. Same mana cost.
Sure.
Dude, I don't think it's here.
Let me see. If I just like type the name in a Scryfall, it'll show up too if it's in there. No, I believe.
Is it in the Pioneer? Yeah, that should be on Scryfall.
Yes, it is in Pio. Yeah, it is on Pioneer Masters according to the Scryfall.
Hallelujah.
So that is playable now. That's a cool deck. Basically, like tutoring up a bunch of stuff and getting yourself some Niv Mizzets and all that.
I don't think there's anything better for content than a content creator playing a deck full of tutors and silver bullets and having no idea what's in it. That's probably going to go over really well. You know, they want to see an expert piloting the deck that, you know, they really want to learn more about. They can learn so much from the fact that I have no idea what I am doing.
It's perfect. Actually, I'm trying to look for another. It was a really cool deck. I think it was the one that won one of the most recent big Pioneer events. It was the Tree of Perdition like combo that people played. Are you familiar with that deck? That is really cool. I'm not seeing it show up in like top 8 Pioneer decks.
Yes, I think somebody's like whispered to me about it, but I don't know what the combo is. I know what Tree of Perdition is. It's
basically it's the tree is basically with an activated ability that you make something. Or what is it? Make your opponent's life total the toughness of the power of the creature, I believe.
Yeah, the toughness of Tree of Perdition. You tap it and you swap
so that's
their life with its toughness. Yeah.
Yeah, so then what they do is they shove that in a graveyard and they give that activated ability to a creature with Agatha's Soul Cauldron. And then usually they find a way to fling that creature as well with like a Foldarin Thrillseeker or something to win the game.
Oh, it's a cauldron deck.
It's a cauldron deck, yeah. So you give with the abilities and then you just throw something. I think that won one of the most recent, like, was it like a regional championship or something? Pioneer Regional Championship? But I don't see it in the top 8 anymore.
I'll take your word for it. That does seem like a sweet ability with the Thrillseeker. Because if you exile a Thrillseeker and the tree, then you just need a creature.
It's on one card. Yeah. I think Marvin saw playing that. I think Marvin saw playing that.
that little guy. That face.
The little dude.
That evil face. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we are in a weird spot. We don't have a new set for 2 months, something like that. I think early February is Aether Drift. And with the way that they release sets these days, it is so weird to not have a set for like over 2 months. So we don't have a new set for 2 months, which is like a miracle in current Magic that they never do
Is it a miracle or a curse?
They never do this anymore. They never do this anymore. And it's like the only 2 months we get off from new cards as content creators for the next year, it looks like, when you look at the schedule.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think of the schedule? Like, have you had a good look? Yeah, you've had a look at all the sets coming out, right? Is there something that like jumps out as something you really want, something you're worried about, something that doesn't, you're like, what are they doing with that?
Oh man, like this could be a whole like separate podcast, just like Wicked, like put into like 2 different parts with 3 hours each. I feel like that's kind of what we're
okay.
Just tie it back, because my god. But yeah, we can keep it to like in a short as possible, right?
Yeah, grab a ledge and jump off it. Let's see what do we got. What do you want to talk about here?
There's so much to like unpack there, right? There's the controversy of the Universes Beyond thingies being standard legal. There's a controversy of it being 6 sets now that get released in the standard, which is a lot. Like that's what you're saying too with the we're getting a break now, but then it's full like pedal to the metal kind of energy. Yeah, it's a lot. I'm personally, like, very selfishly, right, as a content creator, I'm happy to see new cards coming out, right? Like we always, especially with the amount of, content that we create, you have the same thing.
Yeah.
You can get very easily burned out by still metas. So from a content creator perspective, selfishly, I'm cool with it. Now from people that are trying to, there's fans of the game out there that love to collect every set and, maybe want to make an effort to like have every card on Arena despite like doing like free to play stuff. They don't have like a lot of money to invest. It's going to be a little bit of a nightmare, right? Like it's going to be very hard for these players to like keep up with like having a free to play collection where there's so many sets that are getting run out. That could be problematic, I feel.
It's going to be a lot of cards to read, and if they turn out to be like S tier strategies, a lot of cards to buy. There's definitely concern about like, did they get to test all this? That's so many sets, man. Like, are we sure that we can release 6 sets in standard and not have things that just break this in half? Especially with things being legal for so long. Standard, this was part of the why Pioneer question, because standard feels like Pioneer. Like things are legal forever. Every play is so intense, like starting from turn 1. Heartfire Hero, if I can't remove that now and they follow up with the thing that gives it double strike, I have like 2 turns before I'm hopelessly dead. Not even that.
You'll enjoy this. Speaking of this, there's like 2 or 3 decks in Pioneer do exactly that, by the way. Like that mouse it runs crazy in Pioneer too.
I just
enjoy
can't
that
believe
one.
It. Yeah, Leyline is still a Pioneer deck, right? The red Leyline, probably a good one in best of one.
I'm pretty sure there's like a Rakdos Prowess deck and a Gruul Prowess deck, both legal and like pretty high tier in Pioneer.
The fact that
I'm not sure if you
happen
Leyline,
is a turnoff.
Oh, it will. It will. Don't worry. Like you will get hit by that mouse in Pioneer. You got nothing to worry about. It's going to happen.
Yeah. So I'm not feeling that. I'm not sure they tested all these standard decks, and even though your cards are legal longer, like, will your cards be good longer is probably a more important question.
Yeah. I don't even know if I can like yap about this, but I have a little bit of insider info that I heard.
Don't get banned. Don't get in trouble.
I don't want to get banned, but I heard insider stuff that there are separate teams that work on Universes Beyond, which frees up more time for the other team. Okay. I heard that there's like a split there. So is it tested enough? Shouldn't be an issue, or at least it should be easier on the team.
Sorry.
That's what I heard going around. Now, is it true? I don't know, but I heard things of that nature. So
Ash, my boomer brain, my magic boomer brain can't believe you.
No, you know what? I believe you. I do remember that, you've also created content for these Universes Beyond sets. I've created content, and it was always kind of a hellscape. Having things being like, no, it's true. Like to wait forever on trying to get confirmations, right? Because normally it takes some time to get confirmation from like the company, but now they had to go through some separate things, and like people from other companies had to like check things.
Yes, legal work to get content made for Universes Beyond for official channels is difficult. That probably isn't a widely known thing that people just know. It's just something that we run into that the average player does not have to worry about. I hope that is better. I trust it is, because we have 3 Universes Beyond sets coming to standard next year.
Right.
So I sure hope that's better.
And that gives me kind of faith, instead of looking at it like, oh man, they're never going to be able to handle it. I feel like they have to have a full dedicated team to like handling Universes Beyond stuff. I hope.
I'm just crossing my fingers if you aren't looking right at the monitor at this moment. Let's hope so.
I'm doing it. I would imagine they have to. I don't think they can keep it going the way they have,
All right.
I don't know.
How is your fandom excitement for Final Fantasy? Is this the thing you're into?
I played Final Fantasy when I was like pretty young, but I would not say that I like lock into a Final Fantasy game nowadays anymore. So
not yet. So Final Fantasy throwback, maybe some like nostalgic vibes. That's it.
Yeah, for me, I just played a lot of the very niche Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Ring of Fates for the Nintendo DS. That was my game.
Nice.
So I don't think anybody is like, what the f is she talking about? But that was my game. I had so many hours on that. And I doubt there will be any, references to that made, but who knows?
You never know. How about...
You never know.
Okay. I don't think I've ever talked to you about this. Spider-Man Marvel. Is this your thing? Are you into like Marvel movies? Yeah. No,
I'm a DC girly if I'm a superhero like enjoyer. I'm fully like into the DC universe more so than like I don't think I've ever seen one Spider-Man movie.
Wow.
So
okay.
No, I know. Like I said, for me, it's always like horror movies or I've watched some like DC. Spider-Man never like appealed to me. I've tried watching Marvel movies, but for me, like the humor is like very much hit or miss. So sometimes like that could get a little overwhelming to me. I had it a lot when I tried to watch one of the recent like Thor movies. I was like, oh my God, they're trying to crack a joke like every second. And it just wasn't for me. But I don't mind that it's Universes Beyond though.
Yeah, it's an acquired thing, and it's going to be an adjustment period. I think it's widely popular. I guess we'll see what happens.
That's why they do it. That's why they do it.
So they have the set at the end of the year next year, at the end of 2025. That's unannounced Universes Beyond. Is there something you're hoping for? Like, is there something that is? Oh, okay, take the floor.
Listen. If they wanted to cook, and I'm not sure if they've passed this opportunity already, there's definitely a chance they could have. Why do we not have a secret lair or a Universes Beyond would even be better of like Elden Ring or Souls-like games in general, like Dark Souls? Like how big is the Elden Ring fandom? I feel like everybody has played Elden Ring. I'm pretty sure you didn't.
Everybody but me.
I remember in Florida that we tried to get you to play some Elden Ring. But Elden Ring is just great, and it has so much lore. It ties in so well to like the Magic universe, I feel. I would love to see Elden Ring happen. What about you?
So Elden Ring, I think, is one I actually don't think I've heard that from anybody. And it is a great shot because it fits into that fantasy genre. Less people were bothered by Lord of the Rings. So I can see Elden Ring. That sounds really good. The first thing I thought of with you, and I'm curious, like if they did a Witcher set, would that...
Oh, that would be dope. But I also feel like they have their own card game, which...
Yeah, wait. Is that still there? Is that still real?
Yeah, it's
Does
a nightmare.
Gwent still exist?
It's a nightmare. It still exists. Yeah, it's a nightmare though to play, but it's still there. So I doubt they would ever do that, but it would be cool too.
I don't think I've heard of anybody playing Gwent in years. Like a long time. Okay, yeah. Leave me a comment if you still play Gwent. But yeah, I tried playing it, like, not to yap more, but I tried playing it again a year ago, and basically I was talking about this on my stream literally like 3 days ago. The state of Gwent right now is, imagine every card is Questing Beast, and for Questing Beast you need to read what every ability does. But instead of Magic, where it's like compact, it's an essay. And then so every card is a Questing Beast with like 5 different abilities that all have their own essays.
And then they still do different things where if you play them on like a different row, because that's the catch in like Gwent. So when I started playing a game, I had to like take a turn was a minute long before you like roped, and I needed to take like 2 minutes to read every card. And I was like, you know what? That's it for me.
So what would a Gwent card in paper look like? Would it come with its own manual that you have to?
Yeah, probably. That sounds about right. There are Gwent cards. I own them.
Oh, okay.
That came out when The Witcher 3 was released, before Gwent, the standalone, was a thing, because the original Gwent cards were actually like relatively, if you play The Witcher 3, they're actually pretty easy to like, play with. They're very simple. They don't really have a ton of keywords. Like there's things that put like weather effects on things, or, different symbols and like where they should be on the row. So that's cool. But if you had the modern version of Gwent, nah, there would be a manual that'd be like this thick, probably, to read all the keywords. It'd be a nightmare.
Was Gwent your first card game? Was it what sucked you into TCGs?
So basically, a very, very big portion of my, like, I think it was my high school and university experience was playing Hearthstone in the back of the classroom. That's basically all I did. I was very Hearthstone pilled, yeah. And then eventually it was announced that The Witcher would bring out a card game that was Gwent. And I was like, you know what? This seems pretty cool. Especially like my sister encouraged me to check it out when it just came out. So Gwent was kind of like the first game I like really like locked into, I would say, the first card game. And then through Gwent, being a host for one of their competitive tournaments, they were playing Magic on the set. And then I was like, ooh, what is this? And that's how my Magic journey started. So it all ties back together.
People were playing paper Magic on the Gwent set?
They were playing paper Magic on the set of the Gwent Challenger. Wow. And I was like, this is cool. Somebody was playing Orcs of Vampires. I was like, ooh. I was like, this is nice.
Yeah, and then Magic Arena, and here we are. That's cool.
That's cool. That's history. Mm-hmm.
So we're at like the end of the year. We have next year coming up. We have Who Knows What as one of our universes beyond. We have all these standard sets coming up. But like this was kind of a wild year. Did you have a set this year that was hot that you really liked?
I mean, liking. Well, it's definitely not murders. It's definitely not murders. I would say I kind of want to go with, I'm torn between like Bloomburrow and Duskmourn. I think I want to go Duskmourn. I'd been hyped for Duskmourn ever since it was announced, right? Like a full like horror coded set.
Yeah, it has to be your vibe.
I think Duskmourn just aged so beautifully. Like all the cards, there's so many cards from like Duskmourn that are just relevant in standard right now, are kind of like holding their own, right? It introduced a lot of really cool like abilities, a lot of cool like new cards to the game. I feel like all of the top standard decks somehow have some Duskmourn cards in them. So for me, that was definitely a hit. What about you?
Oh man, it's definitely not murders.
We can agree on that. I think most people that are watching this will agree. It's definitely not murders.
Not the cowboy set. That's not my vibe either. No, like I think I talked about this with Krim a few weeks ago. Like my vibe was the Neon Dynasty Kamigawa. That was
sick. Yeah.
As far as like pushing like what a Magic set is and taking it in a different direction, that was the one that felt the most like exciting and just in my element. But like Cowboy Oko, not doing it. Detectives on Ravnica, not doing it. Bloomburrow, I'm so happy for everybody who loves Bloomburrow. I really am. Yeah. I'm glad. My wife is one of them. Gina loves Bloomburrow. It gets her so like she just her eyes like light up every time she opens a Bloomburrow pack, and it's just adorable. And she looks at the thumbnails that I put on YouTube, and she's like, ah. And I'm like, that's great. Yeah. I don't like that kind of. I don't like that world, that vibe. That there's like a specific name for it, but like animal
was it the red wall coded?
Yeah.
I believe it's red wall. Yeah.
It's not for me. For me, that's not the fantasy that I'm into. I'm much more closer to like the high fantasy Lord of the Rings stuff. And Bloomburrow feels a little childish to me. I'm gonna be honest. I feel a little like. I don't know. That's a little too cutesy. And then
I get that.
Then you go to Duskmourn.
Full 180. Full 180.
Duskmourn, I found like so brutal. Like going from like the too cute of Bloomborough to the like if Innistrad is like classic horror, which I love, and Ikoria is like kaiju fighting like Godzilla, which I love. Duskmourn is like Saw. I'll go watch a Saw movie. I don't ever need to see it again. Like it haunts me as is. So yeah, there's so much stuff in Duskmourn that haunt me. Red Leyline will haunt me forever for the time that was legal and best of one.
I get that. Absolutely.
So this is a really tough question because, like, honestly, none of the standard sets this year felt like me, which I think is part of why I've had kind of a tougher year with my relationship with standard. None of them have really felt like me. None of them have felt like a classic banger of a Magic set, which I think I really need. And I hope Tarkir delivers when Tarkir comes out in April. I'm not sure about Aether Drift. This also doesn't sound like me. Fast and the Furious, Magic the Gathering.
I'm a little suspicious about that one myself. Yeah,
I pucker a little from that. Not a little worried, but
I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
My set
surely no bank.
I mean, I would say Modern Horizons 3, but man, that ruins formats. Nadu.
Yeah, no,
Nadu is my
Modern
card
Horizons
of the
3,
year, baby.
My God. Yeah, no. that was a different story altogether. That was, wow, yeah.
God, it might be Fallout, and I don't even play Fallout games, but I actually like the Fallout decks a lot. I like the Mothman deck a lot.
Yeah, they are good. Yeah. They're very good. I love the Hell Caesar one. That one's really great.
Yeah, that might be my... God, that's weird. That might be my set of the year. Foundations, I just had to make too much Foundations content. I was running all over doing Foundations content. It like wore me out. And
I think Foundations is great though. Like I actually think Foundations has really like exceeded expectations of a lot of people.
It's
even like, yeah.
It's way more fun to open than I expected. There's a ton of supported archetypes, more than I've even played yet. The weird thing about the supported archetypes is I feel like I've done them all before. Like I'm having flashbacks to all these standards of the past. And that's a good thing for people who love those archetypes. But I mean, why didn't they give me back Bjorian or some other way to play 120, 80 cards? then maybe I'd go for it.
Yeah, no, I get that for sure. It has that. It definitely has that like repetitive feeling, right? I'm playing with Immerstorm Predator against him. I'm like, wow,
when somebody,
this is wild.
Yeah, when somebody played that against me, I was like, that's in Foundations, and I've looked at that set list like 100 times. 100 times, and I'm still getting surprised.
Skip over it. Yeah. You just,
This has to be the biggest standard has ever been, right? With Foundations in it, it has to be. It has to be. God.
Yeah, that's one of the bigger complaints that people have as well. That Standard you said it too, like Standard almost feels like Pioneer. Like there's so many cards legal right now.
For some people, wild. That's really exciting. What I always loved about Standard is it was a format that had to change because of rotation. You could even look at the exact date that something would change if you wanted to like plan around it. And it was enough cards where you had options, but it was enough cards that you could know literally every successful strategy in Standard and prepare for it. It doesn't feel that way to me now. Now on ladder best of one, I'm going to play against probably 40 to 60% aggressive red strategies no matter what. But the other 40% feels like I don't know what's happening anymore. And there are cards that they drop on me that I couldn't possibly prepare for. I didn't even know this was illegal. It's wild, dude. It's kind of wild.
I mean, that's kind of cool also, but I feel like that's more like the best of one experience. Like a best of three, we really have like a meta that's like settled. I can yap about this for ages, but I feel like at its core, Standard right now comes down to either you are incredibly aggressive or you draw a ton of cards. These are like kind of the two boxes that you have to build into if you want to be able to like have a deck succeed at what it's trying to do. Which it's weird with so many cards available. Like I guess our experience is a little different, but with so many cards available, it still feels like the meta is like pretty narrow because of like how these strategies are kind of, you can do them in a bunch of colors and a bunch of archetypes, but at its core, that's what it kind of comes down to, which,
it's not like traditional like blue I cast a draw to though, right? Now it's like beans, right? Is beans like the main way?
Broken enchantments, yeah. So We have Beans in the Zero Overlord deck that goes crazy. There's actually a Simic Terror deck right now. It's like Simic Tempo that tries to abuse Beans. Then you have all the Caretaker Talent decks. Then you have all the Unholy Annex decks. And then you have the Enduring Curiosity that also draws a ton of cards. So that is like the one side of the umbrella that tries to just draw a ton of cards. Then you have the other side that's trying to abuse the Manifold Mouse. And all that stuff with the Heartfire Hero, Monstrous Rage, be as fast as you possibly can be. That's really just like the two parties. Yeah. Wow. But it's not traditional, it's not like quick study effects. It's all just, I have enchantment, I draw extra cards every turn. Yeah.
The Unholy Annex thing, when that like broke at Worlds, like we knew it was a good card, but when it was like being abused by multiple different kinds of decks at Worlds, it was like, okay, all right. Now there's Phyrexian Arena is now completely out. It's just
like, can you imagine?
What's
going on?
Caretaker's Talent, Unholy Annex, these are permanents that only cost 3 mana, draw you cards, and offer like win conditions attached to them. Like, it's kind of insane. It's a very different experience, I think, from anybody who's played traditional Magic. And I think it's like a learning curve that if you just sit back and try to counter a spell and draw cards now, you usually die. I found it to be very disorienting, we'll say.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. Like, it definitely is, because the only thing that these decks have to do that find our win cons, like in Magic, very often, if your strategy is just to remove something that your opponent plays and that's all you do, you're losing, right?
Yes.
Like, you got to get a little bit more value out of that. But that is completely balanced out now by these enchantments that draw you cards and are win cons, which is why the entirety of Standard feels like everybody is playing 20 removal spells, because they're like backed up by these busted enchantments. They'll make sure that 1-for-1 strategy is fine, because you'll always have more cards in hand anyways.
Yeah. It's kind of fun because it's interactive, and I like the aggro decks getting punched in the face. But the aggro decks,
they're getting punched.
dude, just bam.
Yeah.
20 removal spells. It's like you start every deck with like 4 cut downs and Go for the Throat and Anoint with Affliction. And then you can sprinkle in some Nowhere to Run and some Virtue of Persistence and some long. There's a lot of black cards. Well, that's what I'm saying.
It's true. Yeah, no, it's definitely true. But it creates such an environment where if you try to do something out of the box, it feels like you just immediately get punished. And that's not cool.
Yeah, it's got to have an engine.
I struggle with.
It's got to have an engine.
Yeah.
You look at like the life gain strategy that's supported in Foundations, and if you're like, ooh, I'll put all the life gain cards together, or like I recently did with a Blink deck, where you put a bunch of the Blink cards together, right? And it's just like, nah, they're all dead. Like it's removal, Unholy Annex, removal, demon, removal. It's like okay, that's game.
It.
You got to back it up with an engine now, which feels. It feels very strange, and I'm used to like exchanging cards for cards, not one card for like an endless value train.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Well, I've speculated often on how can we change that, right? I think the key lays to the archetype that you hate. I think mono red has become, or not even necessarily mono red. These red prowess decks are forcing people to play this amount of removal, because if you do not do that, you're dead on turn 3.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I agree with that fully. I just squint at the mention of their names.
That's it. Yeah, but that's what it's kind of come down to. Like, it's just natural that there's two parties, the aggro one and the one to draw a lot of cards. And if you want to be able to get to the point where you can draw a lot of cards, like if you don't have removal in your opening hand, red's not going to give you that opportunity to do that. So with the ley lines especially, like that was just ridiculous when that was a thing in Standard Best of 1. So maybe
wild.
they need to touch mono, like the red prowess decks, if they want to free up Standard a little bit more and like give people some room to breathe instead of having to dedicate like 10 to 20 cards that are just exclusively removal.
What card do you think is the card that like keeps the red decks in contention? Like in best of 3, it's not Leyline, because Leyline gets soloed by too many removal spells, and you're just down a card that never did anything.
Yeah.
So Slickshot Show Off is pretty amazing, but it's not like the end all be all anymore.
They're not even playing Slickshot anymore in these like red prowess decks, and at least in best of 3. It's hard. I think the two like biggest mean guys are probably like the mice cards from Bloomborough. It's got to be like Heartfire Hero and Manifold Mouse. And even Emberheart Challenge. I mean, Emberheart Challenger is a fine card on its own. I feel like especially that turn 1 Heartfire Hero into turn 2 Manifold Mouse. If you cannot answer that, it's brutal.
Oh,
it's
over.
Very brutal.
It's over. Like you take 10 damage before, like if you don't kill them on the spot, you've taken like 10 damage and you're in a chump blocking situation that's useless because it's already like,
no, that's it. Like,
it's already over.
Like, huge.
Blocking is terrible. It's
and
just
Monster's
done.
Monster's Rage. I hate that card now.
Did you see it's banned in Alchemy?
Is it actually?
It's banned in Alchemy. It's the only banned card in Alchemy history.
Hell?
Because the whole point of Alchemy is like, you remember, the whole point of Alchemy was supposed to be that they nerf cards. They nerfed Leyline, Red Leyline, but they banned Monstrous Rage. Said there was no way to fix it.
Crazy. That lines up perfectly with my conspiracy theory for Alchemy that I've had for the longest time. I feel like Alchemy is truly how Alchemy at first, they were like, yeah, we're doing nerfs and we're doing buffs and it's going to be cool. That flopped. So now what they're trying to do with Alchemy is like, oh, we're actually like, we support you. We have really cool cards here. You ever wanted to play with the Power 9? Check out Alchemy. Oh, you hate Monsters Rage? You might want to check out Alchemy. Like, that's what they're really doing with that stuff. Oh, you like Bloomborough more? Let's make our Duskmorn Alchemy set Bloomborough cards.
Unbelievable, right?
You know what I mean? But that's really what it is. Like, they're trying to really appeal to what the people want, to try and like drag people over to Alchemy, being like, you know what? We're not even that like ban and or like the buff and nerf format. We're trying to just really like grab people into this format. And now they're trying to get the people that hate the rages, I guess.
They're trying to give it. So I had like my conspiracy theory on that was that they literally the winningest deck in Alchemy was just mono red with no alchemy cards. Just regular mono red, like as it is in standard best of one. Yeah. So I think they were just trying to make sure that people couldn't just queue up with the same deck, maybe avoid some of that accidental alchemy queuing in some way. I don't know. Just trying to differentiate it somewhere from best of one standard, because it was just the same thing, but it was running roughshod over alchemy, because in alchemy is like you said, like you accidentally end up in Alchemy as a new player. So new players are just getting curb stomped by regular old mono red Monstrous Rage. It's
because it's so efficient to do too. Like if you know what you're doing and like you want to like aggressively climb the ranks, just like queuing up Alchemy and trying to like queue snipe these like new players that have no idea, and you're just out here like trying to like kill them on turn 3, you know, it's very efficient. All
of the entrenched players listening to this right now, go do it. Go knock each other out for a while, please.
Yeah,
we'd appreciate it.
It's true. It's true.
So
it's sad though.
It is wild that they could like. How would you like nerfing Monstrous Rage? Doesn't sound insanely hard, but apparently it is too hard. That kind of blew my mind. Like they could just make it so it doesn't give you a roll.
Yeah, the roll is kind of what breaks the thing, I feel.
I think so. It's wild to me that they couldn't, in their words, couldn't find a way to fix the card. It blows my mind. That's a combat trick that is getting standard and alchemy play on ladder in aggressive, like real decks, competitive decks in 2024. A combat trick. Those used to be limited only, Ash.
I mean, does it have to do with like historic? I'm not familiar what the historic meta is right now, but cards that get changed in alchemy get changed in historic, right? They never changed my Cauldron Familiar back in historic, and I will be having words with whoever made that change.
Maybe they didn't want to change it in historic. That's a good
I don't
point.
know what
I didn't think about
the historic meta
that.
is like.
I don't know. Maybe? What is the historic meta like?
Are they lazy? Maybe.
I don't think I've ever had to play historic since they stopped doing like historic releases.
Anthologies, yeah.
It just never happens now. I just play a lot of Brawl and things like that.
I'm gonna see if I can have a look here. Historic. I mean, like I remember the good old days before MH3 where historic was actually pretty good. But you had that like wizard deck. I'm not sure if they still do that over there.
It was our format of the year once because it was like supposed to be the dumpster for your old cards. And then when COVID shut everything down, people like if you remember, every pro event for a long time was standard and everybody was so sick of it. It was Eldraine standard and every freaking event had to be standard because it was the only thing on Arena. So they were so happy to have Historic. Like Historic was embraced, loved, that they just didn't have to play Eldraine standard anymore. And that's how standard. I mean, Eldraine standard, like if you're getting into Magic, I think you'll have fond memories of Eldraine standard because I think it rewarded new players. I think it rewarded people who are willing to be flexible and didn't have the boomer hangups on like playing these cards because it was definitely a fast and narrow format, but it was skill testing. It wasn't without its skill. And I think that really rewarded people who just let go of like the frustrations of playing such a narrow standard format. I don't know. That's the way I see it.
No, I get that for sure. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Did you find any historic meta stuff?
I'm finding a lot of historic meta stuff here, but I don't see anything that necessarily plays Monstrous Rage. I see a lot of Boros auras. Mono black combo is at Belcher. Of course, all the energy deck because, you know, MH3 or whatever.
Yeah, Boros energy is still there. It seems to be dropping off, but it's still there. 5-color Omniscience? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't want to know. I did see a wizard deck, but they're not playing
elves.
Rage, I don't believe.
I see elves. Many elves.
No, they're not even playing Rage there. Interesting. So can't really be historic. Maybe it's just either it's my conspiracy theory when they're like, oh, you hate Monstrous Rage, or you're getting your ass beat by like, you know, double Monstrous Rage in a ley line in best of one. You want us to do something about that? How about the card is banned here? Or they're just lazy.
It didn't work on me, but you know, I don't know.
Maybe they're just lazy. Like that must maybe there's just like one person that's running the entirety of Alchemy, which wouldn't surprise me. And they were just like, I'm not even gonna try it, and they were just banning it.
The other thing that changing cards does is Brawl, and Brawl has snuck up to be a pretty popular format, and Monstrous Rage is played in with a number of commanders and a number of decks in Brawl. So who knows? Maybe like they did write in their State of Arena that they're thinking about Brawl more, which before Brawl was also kind of a joke to them. So who knows? Maybe that's why. Tell us your conspiracy theories, audience. Like why couldn't they do anything about Monstrous Rage? Why couldn't they nerf it? Why is it the unnerfable card in all of Magic? It's the only one.
It feels especially like terrible if you like if you were playing or if you were interested at all in like Alchemy or Historic or whatever during like that moment where without any announcements, they felt the urge to like nerf Crucius into Bowmaster range. Do you remember that?
I do remember this. Yeah,
fucked up.
That was pretty wild.
That was messed up.
That's
like, not
mythic.
even letting people know. That was a card that people ran like 4 offs of, and all of a sudden, like no announcement. You know, you just log onto Arena, like, why is my Crucius dying to Bowmasters?
And then a year later, they nerf Bowmasters. Did you know this?
What? Yeah. So it's weird. It's weird. I think that's one of the things that I hate the most about Alchemy is that level of like uncertainty.
So for standard, Alchemy, like even when them trying to get me back, I'm like, nah. But for standard, you've had I think you've had one of the better years for building standard decks because I watch your stuff. And you are usually on it. Like you usually have something that makes me mad in the first couple weeks of standard, one way or another. Either I wish I built it or it kicks my ass. So you have been on it this year. Do you have a deck like from this year that was your favorite that like when you discovered it was like, ooh, that's the one? Would you have a deck of the year award from Ash? What would it be?
Deck of the year award.
Yeah.
So what have the standard sets that we've come up? We've had OTJ, we had Murders, Bloomburrow, Duskmorn. Was there another? And I'm forgetting about there was. Was it not?
No, it's Murders, OTJ, Duskmorn, Bloomburrow. Yeah, 4 standard sets, right? Yeah, foundations.
Yeah.
Foundations.
I almost want to say, for me, Rakdos Lizards. I think that just felt like home. It felt like playing fair Magic with cool like typal synergies and you know a lot of new cards as well. Like I was almost playing with like a cracked up draft deck and it was winning me so many games. I loved everything about those little lizards. So I'd probably say my little guys. So what are you saying?
Well, to be honest, I don't build standard decks like I used to. It's very much more of a process of just trying not to die to the red decks. So like the building is almost backwards, where I start with like okay, here's all the removal spells so I don't die. Now what silly win con am I going to try to win with? The deck I've played the most that I enjoy is it still uses Jace the Perfected Mind, like the blue-white, like mill them out with Jace, because it feels like old Magic to me. But Magic has changed so much. I think the Unholy Annex decks are really good. Like if I had to like play in a tournament, I'd run like an Unholy Annex demon blue-black kind of deck. Almost,
the Dimir control. Yeah, I can see that for sure.
That is my vibe.
You.
That's where I'm at. But I think my favorite deck, like if I'm giving it to a deck, it's going to be one of yours. That blue-white Oculus deck.
That deck is fire.
That's
fire.
Deck wins games where I think I've got it. I've got like 2 removals in hand. I've got a board. I've got everything going my way. And somehow all they need is like 1 turn with that stupid Oculus on the board and they manifest a damn Jhin and I'm just dead. And every time, and it's my nasty colors, and it's blue and white, so I want to love it, and I do, but I also hate it.
It's very valid. Yeah, it's very valid. I think the Oculus deck was an absolute banger. I love that deck still. I played it in the recent like arena qualifier. Qualified for the official like event, the weekend qualifier, and then I went up like 4-3, which it was okay, but it happens. Yeah, I love that Oculus deck. It's very nice. Yeah, definitely a banger.
Yeah, you outdid yourself. You're doing good work over there.
I mean, I don't really like to take credit for like the Oculus deck though, because I feel like a lot of people, like I used to play a lot of the blue-white Mentor deck. That was basically before Oculus was a thing. You would shove Monastery Mentor in that deck list almost. And then, the Oculus got revealed. You had that clause, okay, you need to like exile 6 cards from your graveyard in order to play this. And you're like, okay, we don't really need Monastery Mentor anymore. We can just shove this thing in there and like bring it back out. One of the funny things that like I do see, sometimes I do still see shreds of me being the first to popularize it, because I will take credit for that, is that I see people playing 3 Flood Farm Verges in their deck, and it was a mistake I made. It needed to be 4. So whenever I see somebody with 3 Flood Farm Verges, I'm like, that could be a descendant of my original
you get to
deck.
You get to see the whole list over the course of the match, so
exactly,
now you know what their sideboard is, because they milled their whole deck, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, but no, like for me, I can't really take credit for that one, but I do take credit for popularizing it. That was a crazy win streak I had with that one. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, if you want to see what Ash does on the next win streak, check out your YouTube channel or Twitch channel. And I'll throw a link to that in the description. Thanks for coming on the show and talking some Magic. And I guess I'll see you in the Pioneer event.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me. I can yap about Magic the Gathering for many, many, many hours and days. So anytime you need somebody to yap with, I am here for you. But thank you so much for having me on.
Awesome.